Do you think the new Ferrari SF26 will finally be able to break more than 15 years of frustrations and take Hamilton or Leclerc back to the top of the podium? The shooting program was designed in 3 phases. Tuesday the 27th as a priority start to see the general behavior of the car, Wednesday the 28th as an optional day subject to the weather and initial results, and Thursday the 29th as a flexible day to adapt or repeat critical tests. This flexibility is a rarity in modern Formula One, where programs are often strictly delimited. But for Ferrari, having room to react to the unexpected is part of the strategy. Because in a car that has not yet been tested with the new energy flows or with the real track variables, everything can turn out differently than projected. And the most important thing, the objective in Barcelona was not to set times. It wasn't about impressing. The SF26 rolled to a conservative specification, dubbed Spec A, designed not to be fast but to be reliable. Because the absolute priority was correlation, verifying that what the simulations had predicted for months coincided with what the car delivered on the track. That is the foundation on which a solid season is built. Only if that correlation is accurate will future, truly competitive updates make sense when they arrive in Bahrain. In a context in which all teams face new rules, unprecedented fuels and reinvented hybrid systems, Ferrari has decided to play the long game. The risk of falling behind in the early days is real, but the reward of having a solid foundation on which to evolve can be even greater. This strategy is an example of the new Ferrari. Meticulous, calculating, and above all, committed to not repeating the mistakes of haste that have condemned it so many times. Will this be the beginning of a winning mentality? The Barcelona tests have laid the first stone. The rest will depend on what happens when the pressure of competition begins to tighten. Driver rotation during pre-season testing is usually a technical matter. But in the case of Ferrari in Barcelona, it became a very high-level strategic tool. Although the team did not officially release the schedule, it was evident that there was a carefully constructed logic behind each choice. The leaks that indicated Charles Leclerc riding in the mornings and Lewis Hamilton in the afternoons were not simply a matter of operational routine. They represented an exercise in sporting intelligence. Ferrari didn't just want to roll its new car. I wanted to subject it to 2 completely different piloting philosophies and analyze how the SF26 responded to each of them. What Ferrari is trying with the SF26 is not simply redesigning a car. It is redefining the very concept of how a winning car is built in an era where energy efficiency, sustainability, and total integration between mechanical and electrical have become the new competitive standard. And in that process, the Scuderia has made decisions that are not only risky, but unprecedented within the technical framework of modern Formula One. The most striking and at the same time most controversial is the implementation of steel cylinder heads in the internal combustion unit. At first glance, it may seem like just another technical detail. But really, it is a philosophical statement. For decades, Formula One has evolved under the principle of extreme weight reduction, and aluminum has been the material of choice for critical engine components due to its lightness and good thermal performance. However, Ferrari has decided to break with that tradition. Because the new 2026 rules require operating with a lower compression ratio, going from 18.0 to 1 to 16.0 to 1, which in turn demands more rigorous dimensional stability of the combustion chamber than ever. Steel cylinder heads allow just that. Its structural rigidity and resistance to deformation under extreme temperatures and high combustion pressures allows Ferrari to work to finer tolerances, resulting in potentially higher thermal efficiency. This is a move that could offer between 10 and 13 horsepower advantage in raw engine performance, a difference that in Formula One can be the line between the first and fourth rows of the grid. But of course, nothing is free. Steel is significantly heavier. And with the new weight limit for power units increased to 150 kilograms, Ferrari has had to completely redesign the engine's internal layout, as well as work in synergy with Austrian company AVL to develop special alloys and heat treatments that ensure durability without compromising performance. This change involves a re-engineering of all auxiliary systems, cooling, lubrication, anchors, and a complete redesign of the car's packaging concept. And that only covers part of the iceberg. The SF26 also debuts a new hybrid system architecture under the 50/50 regulation, which for the first time in history makes the electric motor equal to the thermal engine in terms of contribution to performance. Ferrari's new MGU-K delivers up to 350 kilowatts, more than triple that of its predecessor, and its integration with the chassis has not been done simply to comply with the regulations. Ferrari has opted for a centralized mass implementation, which seeks to reduce the car's polar moment of inertia. This means that they have located all the heavy elements of the electrical system, batteries, inverters, converters, as close as possible to the center of the vehicle, sacrificing aerodynamic packaging on the side pods in order to achieve a more agile and predictable car when changing direction. Another critical innovation is the energy recovery system. With the removal of the MGUH, all recovery is now dependent on braking and traction flow. This forced Ferrari to completely reconfigure the electronic brake balance management, MGUK hold mapping, and torque distribution. And here another key advance comes into play: software. Ferrari has developed a new predictive control algorithm that adapts the behavior of the hybrid unit in real time to track conditions and driving style. In essence, the car learns during the lap and adjusts the delivery of electric power to maximize traction or top speed depending on the point on the circuit. This is an advantage that, if worked correctly, can make significant differences lap after lap. Together, these decisions reflect a comprehensive approach that goes beyond making a car fast, but rather building a system that works as a harmonious unit. Ferrari has left isolated experiments behind to embrace a development philosophy based on total integration: engine, aerodynamics, power, chassis dynamics, and software. There is not a single component of the SF26 that has not been rethought from the ground up. And that is the essence of their silent revolution. What the world saw in Barcelona is just a fraction of the true potential of this car. But what is already evident, even from the outside, is that Ferrari has chosen the most difficult path. One that does not guarantee immediate results, but that, if executed with precision, can place them back in the center of the competitive universe of Formula One. And in an era where it is no longer enough to be fast on the straight or efficient in the corner, but intelligent in every millisecond of power delivery, that can make all the difference. Ferrari's approach to pre-season testing not only responds to technical planning, but also to a war strategy. While other teams seek to impress with stopwatches from day one, Ferrari has opted for a path divided into two distinct stages: Barcelona as a testing ground and Bahrain as a true competitive launch. This phased approach is not new in motorsport, but it has rarely been as clear and as necessary as now, in the context of a total technical transformation such as that facing Formula One in 2026. The first phase, which takes place in Barcelona, has a clearly defined purpose: validation. The SF26 that took to the track at the Circuit de Catalunya was a version known as Spec A, a configuration deliberately designed not to show its full potential. His mission was not to be the fastest or even the sharpest. It was a diagnostic car. Ferrari wanted to know if the data collected in wind tunnels, CFD simulations, and test benches matched the dynamic reality of the car. This correlation exercise is not a simple formalism. If the data do not add up, any further development will be unfounded. And in an environment where the margins of error are microscopic, a bad correlation can doom the entire season. For this reason, the SF26 rolled with conservative aerodynamics, control compounds, and under mechanical conditions designed to minimize the risk of failure. There was no pursuit of fast times, no aggressive setups. Each lap was a controlled experiment. Each change, a hypothesis validated in real time. It's an approach that requires patience and self-control. But it also demonstrates something deeper. Ferrari has learned, perhaps finally, not to rush. However, this philosophy does not imply passivity. The team knows that the season begins in earnest in Bahrain, and that there they will have to show different cards. That is why the second phase, which will be activated in the Secure tests, February 11th to 13th and 18 to 20, represents a total turn in the narrative. In Bahrain we will see the Spec B, the evolved version of the SF26, with a more aggressive aerodynamic package, new engine maps, and probably an update to the cooling and energy management system. There, yes, performance will be sought. There, the car will be pushed to the limit, both in qualifying and in long runs, with the aim of simulating real race scenarios. The choice of Bahrain as the second scenario is not coincidental. Unlike Barcelona, a technical track with cold temperatures and abrasive asphalt, Bahrain offers conditions much closer to those of a real Grand Prix. Extreme heat, long straights, intense braking, and an ideal combination to evaluate not only the raw power of the engine, but also the thermal behavior of the hybrid system, aerodynamic efficiency on straight lines, and tire wear under high load conditions. Furthermore, there is a critical factor that cannot be reproduced in Barcelona: fuel. The tests in Catalonia were carried out without the 100% sustainable biofuel that will be mandatory in 2026. Ferrari, like all teams, ran with an intermediate compound, which limits the ability to fully evaluate combustion efficiency and integration with the new energy recovery system. It is in Bahrain where these parameters can be put to the definitive test. And that is where Ferrari hopes to find not only correlation, but full validation of its technical commitment. Leave your opinion in the comments what you think about all this.